Hey YouTubers, Rich here from 2RC Productions, and I know we talked a little bit about my Scx10 Deadbolt, and I sat there and said, I'm not going to go too crazy with this truck. We're just going to do a couple things. But here I am with it completely ripped apart, cage ripped off, guy ripped out, everything stripped down. And we're going to kind of do a step-by-step through the process. I'm not going to do every process, it just gets too long. My video will be 3 hours long. So I'm going to give you the step-by-step, play-by-play of what I'm doing and kind of show you what I got to this point. And as I'm going through the phases, I'll show you little bits until we get to the end result of the truck I'll put back together and done. Like I told you before in the other video, I'm waiting for an LED light kit, which I ordered online because I found one that was actually made in USA. And the problem with it is it's probably going to take another 2 weeks or something to get here. I don't know why it takes so long, but they're saying like the 22nd of January, and I ordered it like a week ago, so hopefully that comes a little faster. But I also ordered a rear bumper, and the rear bumper they're saying probably not till sometime in January, maybe February, that it's gonna come in stock. So I'm gonna kind of do something up to that point, and I might stick with this, or maybe I'll end up changing it later. But anyway, I want to show you what I kind of got going here. I had to pick up some brushes today, some Testers detail paint brushes, because anytime you're detailing out stuff, you got to have these detail brushes for paint. I used to do a lot of model kits, plastic model kits, and that's the cool thing about this scale rig is that it is so much like a model kit. That's why I'm kind of going crazy here, doing stuff to kind of personalize it, make it my own. And you can do that with a scale truck. A normal body on a normal RC car, it doesn't have much detail, there's not many options. So I picked up a couple brushes. I went back to Radio Shack and I picked up 2 more of these rocker switches like we did on Ryan's Vitera. Because what I'm going to do is I am going to run 2 separate switches. I'm going to have a total of 12 LED lights on my Scx10 Deadbolt body. I'm going to have 2 headlights, 2 whites in the bumper, 5 in the LED buckets, and then I'm going to have 2 reds in the back. And then I'm going to have 1 in the dash. I'm going to light up the dash gauges. So I got the rocker switches. What I did was, I told you I would do it. I didn't like the way the cage was. It had way too much business going on in the back here. And what I basically did was separated the piece you see laying here. It's got 4 bolts that hold it, and then I cut the 2 top braces here. I cut those away. And what I did was, I didn't want to get a power tool in there and get crazy with it because it's just light plastic. So all I did was take a bimetal Sawzall blade, and I basically did it by hand. And it only took a few minutes. I've been using an X-Acto knife. You always got to have an X-Acto knife when you're using plastic, trimming burrs off or cutting pieces off of a tree. Flat file. And I got the contour putty, which I'll get to that in a minute. And basically what I got here is I cut that section of cage out, and then I sprayed the whole thing this color here, this Testers spray enamel. It is flat dark aircraft gray, and this is a really cool color. And the reason that I went with that color was, what I ended up doing was I made a scale rig a while back for my micro trail trucker out of a 55 Chevy pickup, and I used that color. And I thought that color is really cool. So basically what I did was I used that color again for the cage, because the problem with the Deadbolt is there's just so much black. The Scx10 in general, every piece on the frame, every piece, the cages, the bumpers, everything is black. And it's good because it doesn't scratch or anything. I get that if you're running it real hard, but I want something that looks cool, and I want something that looks different and separates it from the rest of them out there. So what I ended up doing was shooting a couple coats of this aircraft gray. And then what I did was, where the screw holes were themselves, I filled them with contour putty, Testers contour putty, like you would use for a model kit. And now today I'm going to sand it all down to get it looking like one piece. And I'm going to put another coat of the aircraft gray on there. And then I'm going to finish up with Testers gloss clear coat. And I'm going to put like 3 or 4 coats of clear on this to give it some protection. If it does get scuffed or hit a little bit, it'll knock a little of the clear off, but it won't knock the final color off. So the other thing is, I want to put headlights in the Deadbolt body, and it's just got a basic decal on there is what it has. It has a basic sticker in the front, and what I want to do is I am going to take some of the extra bucket grills that they give you from Axial. And what I did was I sprayed these gray also, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it right on the front of the truck. And they have tabs on them. They have tabs on them. And I don't know if, let's see, I'll hold this up here, see if you can see this. Should be able to see this. But yeah, they got little ears on them. And what I did was I filed those down so they're flat. So they'll just mount right on the front of that. And I'm just going to put some good super glue. I use Loctite gel control super glue, and I'm going to super glue it on there after I drill the holes and put the buckets in there. Okay, so I'm going to do that. This cage piece, like I said, is going away. The original light bucket bar that came with it, I'm keeping that black because I like the way having the gray, how it offsets. And what I did was I painted all the emblems on the front of that, and the grills I painted them silver so they stand out. So it's not just all black. You got to have something to offset the color, otherwise it's just, you know, just too much black. It all blends together. Then what I got here is I have an old bumper from my original Emax that I got in 2001. And what I did was I fabricated aluminum bumpers for that truck way back, and I took these things off after I drove it a little bit, and they've just been sitting in a box all this time. And like I told you guys in one of my other videos, is you never get rid of anything, because you never know down the line. Here I am, you know, 15 years later, 14 years later, and I'm using a piece and utilizing it on a new kit that I have now. So with this, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to chop this thing down, and I'm going to drill some new mounting holes, and I'm going to mount this in the center of the rear frame support, and part of the frame in the back goes around, and I'm going to mount it. And then I'm going to take these Axial light buckets that fit perfectly around this thing, and I'm going to mount those like that. So I'm going to paint this bumper gray, and I'm going to leave the grills black, and then I'm going to mount the LEDs, red ones, behind that for now, temporarily, till my other bumper comes in, or I might like the look of this so much that I keep it. What I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to cut this off like that and round it off real nice, and it'll fit right inside the body line. So that we'll see what that looks like. I got a feeling it's going to look pretty good. The other thing we're doing is I took the stock guy figure out of here, because I'm not really too crazy about this helmet. It might look better with a little detail, but it's very plain right now, so I took that out, and I ended up spraying, I'm using the skeleton head, and I sprayed that gray also to match the cage. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to detail this up with my detail brushes that I showed you. I'm going to paint everything, the teeth, the headgear, the nose, you know, put some shadowing on it, paint a little bit on the helmet, and I'm going to mount that guy. Now when I was going through my stuff, I found one of my old Tamiya guys laying at the bottom of a box. Now this thing's like 30 years old. And I thought, well, I got the one guy in there. You know what? I'm going to mount this guy in there too. It's the shoulders. It goes down. I'll probably get rid of that helmet and use one of the newer Axial helmets, but mount it to the body of the guy. And then I'm going to mount that right next to my other guy figure. And I'll show you in the truck here. So I'm going to use a different helmet, but I'm going to put him in right next to the other guy, because there's always one driver figure in there, but there's never a passenger. So I'm going to mount him in there too, because it'll look pretty cool. So that's the other thing. Basically, I've shown you a couple things I got here. You know, I got a Sharpie here for marking. You can never have too many Sharpies. Black, you know, this one just happens to be purple, and that's just to mark my cutting spots where I want to cut stuff. This here comes in handy. I use this on the grills, on the light grills, and this is a Sharpie metallic. I believe it says metallic on it. Yeah, metallic silver. And I mean, these things work great for detail. It's basically like a little paint marker. And I painted all the grills, you know, the fronts of those with that, and that worked out good. So basically I wanted to show you kind of, you know, where I'm at now, what I'm doing. The last thing is I picked up because I know with this LED light kit I'm going to be doing a bunch of jumpers and connecting wires, and I'm going to run 2 switches like I was saying, one for the headlights and the tail lights, and then I'm going to have a separate switch for the 5 LED bar, so I can flip the bar on by itself, or I'll be able to flip the headlights and tail lights on by themselves, or both of them off. And then what I did was, because I know I'm going to be need more of this wire, is I got 3 30-foot rolls of 22 gauge hookup wire, red, black, and green for a ground, which I probably won't use the green, but I'll be using the red and the black. And this will last me forever. As many LED light kits as I'll do, this will last me. And it costs like $8 for 3 30-foot rolls of this wire, which will do up, you know, more than enough, and I'll have left over for 20 years down the line. If I buy another kit, or Ryan gets a kit 20 years from now, he'll be able to do an LED light kit for $8, still using the same wire. So, and I also got some sand cloth here, some basic sand cloth. Like I was saying, I got the contour putty there. I'll rip a little piece of that off, and I'll softly sand this bar so it all looks like one piece, and then repaint it and put the clear on there, like I said. The other thing I did was the stock Poison Spider bumper was also black, and all that black just blends in way too much. So what I did was I painted this that aircraft gray also, and then I'm going to paint the shackles red and mount the shackles on that bumper, and then it'll have the clear white LED lights in that also. So I had this kind of sitting on the body yesterday and putting it on the frame after I painted this stuff, and it really looks cool. It's going to have a really cool look to it when it's all done. So there's the Poison Spider bumper, gray. We'll put the shackles on there, and I showed you pretty much everything up to this point. What we got here is, been doing a little work. I got the switches mounted in the body, drilled the hole. I had an extra hole on the side here because I ran my other wires for my other LED kit up through there. So I got that one extra hole there, but basically I put the switch right next to that, and then I got the one right in the middle of the fuel cell, so I can just reach in there and flip the switches. This one will be for the light bar, this one will be for the headlights, tail lights, and dash lights. And then I also drilled out the dash gauge cluster, drilled all those holes out. What I'm going to do is put a piece of clear plastic behind it, something that's transparent, and then mount the LED back there. What I got here is I got the bumper all cut, sanded, drilled to mount, countersunk holes, and I cleared it. And then I just cleared the Poison Spider bumper. You can see how shiny that thing is. It looks really nice. So I'm going to do like 3 coats of clear on this. And then I got the cage all filled. Like I told you, I used the putty and sanded everything so it looks like one piece. There was screw holes in here where bolts went through. And on the back here, so I basically, down here, there was bolt holes there for the other brace. So I basically sanded everything down, repainted it with the aircraft gray, and then I put a coat of clear on it. I'm going to put like 2 more coats of clear on it. You can see it really shine. It looks nice, all like one piece. So you have to make sure that you let each coat dry sufficiently before putting the next coat on. So now I'm just kind of sitting and waiting for this to dry. And then the next step is what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the mounting. Once this rear bumper dries, I'm going to drill the mounting holes on the back of the car itself and get that thing mounted. I ended up going through my kit of parts, and they're up here somewhere on my messy bench here if I can find them. I actually found some small screws with nuts from my my little parts drawer from who knows when. That could have been, these parts could be 30 years old. But these screws will work really nice with the nut. I countersunk the holes so I can get the bolt through there and tighten those up on the bumper, and that'll hold that nice. And I think that is it for now, and we'll check back in a little bit. here from 2RC Productions, and hope you enjoyed the video of my cosmetic mods for my Scx10 Deadbolt.